And now we are ready for a little panel discussion where also you are invited to join if you want to ask any questions. But I would like to invite on the stage 3 speakers who will join me today. And as you see, it's Egons Bušs from Security Director in LMT Latvia. Also Vilius Makauskas, we already met in his keynote presentation, and he's CEO of SHS Investment Group, Lithuania. And the third speaker, also we will see on the stage, is Edvards Vērdiņš from Lidl Latvia, also security. I'm inviting to take place. Also, if Egons is here. We are starting a bit early, and I assume the third speaker might not be here yet. Yes, maybe you can. Okay, but that's totally fine because I already have some questions on the issues I already seen in presentations. Obviously, after COVID, all of the presentations are talking about automatization of the process, about cybersecurity, mentioning drones, mentioning in the first presentation we heard that also this organized crime, it's 65% of internationals mixing in with different multiple nationalities. So it seems like kind of episode from Netflix or episode of future cinema, which is here now, when we can see that things are getting automized. And my first question overall, I mean, there are so many new things coming in the security field these days, not mentioning artificial intelligence, which is also in my journalistic field coming in, and maybe there will be need for me as a journalist because they are producing news feeds themselves, and I will maybe find a be meaningless there. But what are the challenges? I mean, what are the points that you see might be challenging next 5-10 years in your field in security, which comes with these new technologies and automatization?
Yeah, I can start. Overall, I would spin this question a bit around. I don't see challenges. I see only opportunities, because all these solutions are actually not challenging us. They're literally helping to make our clients safer. And all the technology and taking into account, the physical guarding that we should discuss as well. So it was mainly based on human resources, but it's very as well combined with technological part. And all the innovations that are coming to the market, they're actually a big help. And we're using your mentioned drones, for example, not to change physical guarding as a service, but to accompany and help the security guards to provide good quality services.
Thank you. Yes, of course. But are there any challenges when, maybe LMT, the representative from LMT Security can mention that?
Yeah, I would actually put several points. I would put people first, because security has always been important. But say 20 years ago, I was more in IT and IT infrastructure. I had long hair. Some who knew me for a longer period of time may know. And then physical security guys and cyber IT, those type of guys didn't really talk much. So they had completely separate worlds. These days, with cyber physical integration of everything, we see that the skill set required for people working security operations has dramatically increased. We at LMT run through the exercise that, all the physical security systems have been digitalized. They are all basically same computer virtualization, etc. And we had to, what does it mean for a physical security guy to do something on an SQL server? Well, he or she doesn't completely understand all the words. They are perfectly good security guys, but they've never done IT. What we see as a possibility, and this is a little over than a year now, we have a dedicated guy which is reporting to head of cybersecurity division, that is taking care of cyber physical systems. We even invented the name cyber physical system administrator. So that's a decent guy that knows something about security and is very, very decent IT specialist. Another thing is technology and development of technologies. They are getting better. I really enjoyed Genetech's speech and about automation and the people need tools. They do. They also need to support either themselves or most likely together with partners technologies, and the pace of development of technologies is incredible. People really need to learn a lot. That comes to the third point, which is related to both people and technology. They need to be allowed to learn properly, to be educated, to attend conferences, to go to training courses. Otherwise, they will not be able to keep up with that. As an opportunity, one of the things we already do for a couple of years that we do not start any business development project with at least somebody from security being next to them. Even if it's just an idea, if it's something that I cannot really formulate what one needs to do, I go myself. Otherwise, as soon as the task is clear, then it needs to be then somebody from my team will go. It could be physical security guy, it could be cyber guy, it would be something related to legislation, information security, but currently there are almost no projects in business development that do not require security skill set.
Yes, and actually I was about to ask about those training programs. Are they available, for example, for businesses and security? Is it easy to find a way how to educate your employees?
I would say that the most deficit resource is always time. Yes, they are
time,
actually.
Yes.
Yeah. They are great partners, and some of them you see here. We also, our HR does a lot of training and helps us organize to find proper partners that could train us for new technologies. That's all doable. That requires management, a strategic decision. Yes, we go that way. Support, a little bit of budget, but again, time is the most critical resource.
Thank you. Egons Bušs has joined us from Lidl. Sorry, Edvards, yes. Edvards Vērdiņš from Lidl has joined us. Welcome on the stage.
Thank you.
Yes, we started earlier. Thank you for coming now. And the question is, what are the trends? You already started to talk about the trends in security, physical security, next 5-10 years. What you see in Lidl, for example, coming from that area of business.
So for us, it's quite important that security guards, they already not just doing like doorman responsibilities, but they have some additional tasks. And also our past shows that usually every company had a lot of security guards doing each of them quite specific things, one specific thing. But now from our security guards, we also requiring to have some additional responsibilities. So basically, it also for the market means that the lack of manned security personnel that's available on the market, that technologies are growing and some functions are being replaced by machines, by IT systems. But still, everything needs to be managed by human. So to security guards or to our colleagues, we are giving some additional tasks to monitor system, to react on, for example, some events. And yeah, it requires additional knowledge, but also we need less of employees. And as we see on the market, it's a huge lack of employees. So it will be the same. It is not meaning that, for example, we want to replace amount of security guards with technologies, but it's like it's a normal process that we have less employees, and then technologies are coming to replace some functions, to give added value to such functions. So it will continue. Maybe later in future we will not call this persons as just security guard, but security specialists, and some companies already replacing a lot of functions of security guards with already security specialists who are monitoring, checking, reacting on events. And also I see that a lot of companies, they're going to technologies and just a request from security companies only reaction on alarms on events. So the patrol is coming and already solving like some problems. So yeah.
Thank you.
Shortly.
Yes. How about the trends you see in your field? You already mentioned the smart safe, that it's more efficient, and you know you're turning into this new era of digitalization, but what else do you see? I mean, you summed up in the end of your slide most of those things, but maybe you can really bring out what are the trends you see in your field of security.
It's a question for me, or?
Yeah, you can also, I mean, it can be overall, the physical security, yeah.
So basically I would actually add to the colleague, so the technological trend of changing the physical guarding actually started, I don't know, many years ago. When we've got the CCTVs, I don't know, X years ago, and the last 5 years we were not looking for more, better quality video and etc. We're looking into analytics now to the AI. But overall, all these technologies, they leads to, the physical personnel demand guard number was decreasing in the past years because the technologies helped to secure the objects. And probably the trend will continue, but there's not a lot of space, in my opinion, for more decreasing, because the companies has decreased quite a lot. So it's important probably to choose very wisely the technologies, taking into account that there are a lot of technologies that is coming up, and it actually really helps for physical guarding.
Yes, and I heard in the last presentation, Nick Doit mentioned that it really helps to focus on real matters rather than spending human resources on something else. Maybe you can mention some examples where you can see that the focusing is on real cases when the humans needs to be involved rather than giving technology-based things to the people.
I could give a very practical example. LMT is best known as mobile operators, although we're a full-scale technology company, and it's actually, we have reduced physical alarms. For example, those base stations that are somewhere in a forest, it's could be distinguished by relatively simple AI algorithms, whether it's fox running or rabbit, or is a human being trying to approach base station doing something maybe has bad intentions. So we have reduced significantly those false alarms, which is a very straightforward use of artificial intelligence and video surveillance capabilities. Another thing that comes in are we have more sensors, more Internet of Things devices that can report a lot of things more precisely, be it whatever it is, CO2, temperature, video, night video, whatever we need, it's all available in the market. So the key is to put it in, a manageable system that actually helps people and helps security operations to do their daily job. The technology is great and available, and we use it proudly.
Great. Do you have any good examples from that?
Yeah, so I would maybe also add one point that I'm, as a security manager, for me it's quite important that my job is to investigate the cases. Yes. So to understand something happened, why it happened, and how we can improve. For example, if in past security guards, they were like standing and they were checking, okay, what will happen? And they need to react. Okay, someone is, for example, stealing something, I need to react, I need to run, I need to detain this person. But we always have a human factor. If, for example, 1, 2, 3 days, nothing is happening, then security guard is already like, he's just not able to fulfill his functions. He can just not detect that something happened. And for us, it's important to implement some technical solutions that will find some event and give him alarm, that he will be able to see, okay, this happened. And then he can just only react to detain person or to reduce the losses. So this is the most important part also for me, to investigate, to understand every case, what happened, why it happened, how we can make this alarm more visible, or how we can detect event or some threats.
Well, in 2023, we see that artificial intelligence, this is kind of a year of artificial intelligence. Whatever conference I host, it's there. And also, you have more than 50 booths in this expo that you can walk around and see, and lots of it deals with technology, some of them also artificial intelligence and digitalization. So if you see the ethical way how you can also involve, I heard already that you are using this artificial intelligence, the algorithms, for example, guarding those forest house places. But what do you see in the future, or how do you find that? Is it also there's this very short boundary of ethical aspects sometimes, and also human data involved in this, because I mean security deals with people and human data. Is there any, I don't know, concerns, or as you like mentioning, more of positive aspects to that?
So maybe I will start. For us, it's quite important. So the first place is human rights. And in future, could be that we will be using some artificial intelligence, but at this moment we are looking, we are checking how it works. And first of all, we need to see exact needs to have this additional tool, let's call it like that. And we need to understand if it's not possible for us to use something else, to start using artificial intelligence, because also for people, in some point also for me, I quite respect my privacy, and I would not like that the system is examining my behavior, gives someone information that he looks suspicious. Okay, if I'm in some critical infrastructures, if I'm a criminal and I'm in the list of these like some government agencies, because I'm a bad person, okay, if facing detection system will recognize me and give notification to some police officers, for example, then yeah, for me it would be fine. But we are speaking about some critical infrastructures. If we are speaking about daily shopping, I believe that customers would not like to stores that something is inspecting them all the time. Of course, in future things will change, but at this moment we are quite, I would say, not skeptic, but
waiting.
Yeah, yes. We need some also some maybe movement of this process from data protection agencies, because once I've been asking agency and they're quite strict regarding this topic for like private use, as we are as a company. So future, yeah, things will change, and things we are changing quite fast. We just need to react and see how it will work. Also, artificial intelligence is starting to work as I saw. Of course, I was not in making the system myself, but it works quite nice. And some facilities, some agencies would get benefit from using the system, but not all private structures.
Thank you. I also see it as a threat, of course, not only the possibility. Egons, you wanted to comment on that, because you already mentioned you're using artificial intelligence algorithms.
Yeah, but I will also be very careful with the balance of security and privacy. I'm actually very proud that we live in Latvia, we live in the European Union, where at least some privacy is respected to some extent. Not that it's ideal, it's probably never ideal, but it would be tragic if we lose that little sense of liberty we still have. Of course, hardcore security guys would like to collect all the data from everywhere, record everything, analyze everything, and they could probably predict your future better than yourself. But this is far beyond ethics, and thanks to European legislation, also the Privacy Acts and GDPR and other upcoming activities, like they will regulate most likely use of AI in more formal way. So it will stick to ethically possible, which is great. Of course, from business point of view, there are a lot of use cases where it works fine. For example, we've done a bus management system in Riga Central Bus Station. It recognizes number plates, it uses algorithms, it all works fine, but it really needs to be very, very careful. I, as an individual, wouldn't like myself or my kids to lose all the nice freedoms we have here in the European Union.
Yeah, I agree with you on this EU legislative, and I see European Parliament is passing more laws. I received emails yesterday on this. They are discussing. So I think with this development of artificial intelligence also comes development of the laws, of course, both in European level and I think national level. Vilius, would you like to mention anything about that? This is a big theme. Of course, we don't know the future, but 2023 we have to talk about this, at least the trends among the professionals.
Sure, actually, I would have the same opinion as the colleagues mentioned. You know, the artificial intelligence can give a lot of value for businesses, but like taking into account the mass surveillance, it's a very tough question. And taking into account the legislations and etc., it's not very possible right now. And overall, for that kind of solution, we would need to have a lot of trust from the general public. And we're speaking right now, as we are in security fields, and we're saying that we wouldn't like that kind of solutions implemented because it breaches our privacy. So if that kind of solutions could be implemented in the future of mass surveillance, there's only one mistake needed, and the whole trust will fall down. That's a very, very tough question.
Yeah, and I think it also can start a cascade effect, maybe that mistake can cause a big, tremendous mistake overall. I mean, while it goes with the algorithms, it's okay, but when you start to involve it in data, I think it can cause a big problem. Before we continue, maybe there are questions from the audience to the experts. We have a microphone. You can also just stand up, raise your hand, and we can ask that question. Everyone's listening and no one has a question. That's good. So it means that it's interesting, at least. So about the future trends. We are here in this conference where we actually see in the booth the future trends that organizations, institutions, educational institutions are providing. And that's maybe the future of next 3-5 years. So what are your views, personal views, also professional views on the trends of security, physical security, next 5 years? So we are here to discuss among professionals what should we be prepared for, maybe what kind of education or training we need for employees, or what should we plan in the next years, upcoming years on these issues. Yes, Egons, maybe.
Well, I briefly mentioned it at the beginning. One of the key things is complexity, increasing complexity. Of course, there are vendors and management systems that, sort of helps us, but the number of physical security devices, sensors, servers, virtual machines, etc., they are incredibly increasing. And it's not that important whether they are on premises in your own or somebody is taking care of them remotely or on cloud services. That all needs to be properly planned, the proper architecture and management. And with security, we sometimes say that it's as secure as weakest link. And I think this approach of all the cyber and IT innovations from one side, but it also brought all the enterprise IT governance risks. That is one of the huge problem, which not problem, but huge. For some it's opportunity, for some it's on a daily basis. Somebody will need to hire somebody, but this is one of the great topics. People, of course, because people still need to learn. So it's like full. It's not like you finish your master's degree and then you are happy to work for the next 30 years within your profession. No, you have to learn a lot every quarter, I would say, new technologies, new things. Well, for example, physical security guys, they are rarely data analysts in IT, respective data analysts. They have a lot of sensors producing a lot of data. Of course, management systems help to deal with that, but that's somebody, they need this skill set they didn't require really before. And it's either them or partner or somebody else in a cyber department or whatever the department is called. But this is one of the things. And also to keep focused, again, not to overreact on, we had an incident, let's, film everyone everywhere, and not just within our premises.
That's a good advice.
Like the whole quarter or more. So the balance of it, also more multidisciplinary skills, because those responsible for physical security, they need to be able to talk not just to IT people, but also to legal people about legal aspects of their daily operations. They need to plan budgets. So a lot of new skill sets are required for, say, head of security, physical security division. That wasn't probably the case like 15, 20 years ago.
Thank you. They were really good advices. Vilius?
So following up on the trends, overall, the trend will stay the same. Technologies are taking over overall the security, and nevertheless, demand security will be needed. But the technologies just helps to get, the better quality of security. If you would take into account, I don't know how many false alarms, false video footage we had in, 4 or 5 years ago, that would be a really large number. But now the technologies, the software, actually helps everyone to identify the real risks. And that's where
save time.
And save time.
Yeah.
Everyone is getting more efficient, and that's where the magic happens. So right now we have, let's say, professionals that can manage these systems. We basically, I suppose, have all the hardware that is needed to provide quality services in all kinds of matters. And what will be changing? It just will be changing the software part. It will be getting more innovative, and it will help to identify risks easier, and will make all the job more effective.
Yes, thank you. Edwards?
From my side, I would totally agree with the colleagues, and we should be quite careful with technical solutions. We have now, today, a lot of things, a huge availability of different technical solutions. And if we are starting to implement different solution, okay, this solution gives us some additional things. Let's implement this. We will end up with huge alarms, notifications, security guards or professionals. They will not be able just to react. So if we decide that first of all, we would need to understand our needs, our problems. Okay, we have this problem, this and this. How we could solve it, how we could find a solution. And then, step by step, we should test some equipment, some solutions in close environment, giving also option to regular security guards, specialists, to test, to understand all problems. And it should be quite long process to understand everything if it works, and then only to start implementation, because usually, and I saw it myself, that some companies, we need to protect our perimeter. Let's take this solution, let's install it, and then they're maintaining, they're fixing bugs, they're finding some issues, and it's an ongoing process. And also myself, I saw that later on they are not using the system at all.
Okay.
So physically you have it, it looks nice, yeah, you need maybe to clean it to keep it looking good, but it's not working and nobody is using that. So it's quite important to have a cold mindset, to spend your time to test it and to understand if it actually works, if it fulfills all your needs. So just spend your time.
Okay, thank you. Egons wants to add something.
Yeah, and continue on this great thought. Another thing is that you still need your processes and procedures in place. Say, with all the overwhelming technology revolution in digital security or physical security and digitalization of physical security, what happens if you lose only your both power sources at your place where you have something important, even physical, to guard? So you still need to know what to do, how to do, and this comes to the next step of business contingency planning, which is usually with business people and IT people, but also for physical security. What do you do if our X comes in for some reason? How do you act? Who's going to help you? Who's going to call you if most of the technologies will not be available for some period of time? So this is also a very important aspect.
That's a good aspect too, sure. Not to rely too much. Are there any comments or questions from the audience? So to speak, yes. Can you please bring up the microphone? Oh, I can do that. Will help us. Yes, please introduce yourself and whom you address the question, if you do address to someone.
Yes. Hello, my name is Gatis, and I merely address the questions for all attendees here. My question is, Mr. Egons Bušs addressed really sensitive questions about cyber-physical environment. And the question is for all of you, should academic, governments and professionals come together to solve this issue? Because in this field, if you're in physical environment, you work in physical, in cybersecurity, and mainly those two don't come together to understand each other. So the question is, should academic, governments and professionals come together to solve this issue?
Yes. Yes. So is there any possibility of this interdisciplinary co-work?
I think this is very important to have interdisciplinary education. We see some of the developments in Latvian universities already, and also in everyday life. As I say, it's not like you finish your school and then I'm done learning and now I'm going to work for the rest of my life. It doesn't happen like this. So, or what you could do in your workplace is you put your teams so they have full set of necessary skill sets. So it's physical security, law enforcement, communication, etc., but also IT guys, cyber guys, and sitting them at the same table and talking the same language is a bit of a management challenge, but it's certainly doable. And regarding education, it has never been more important than these days with all the geopolitics and other things. I myself, I also do a little bit of tutoring when I have nothing to do on Friday evenings or Saturday mornings, and I teach students. And when we talk about security, it's cybersecurity course, but we also touch upon physical security because it's all together. And when we look at the protection of critical infrastructure, so it's nationwide critical infrastructure, there's some procedural requirements, there are IT solutions or digital physical solutions that helps to protect it. So it all comes together, and people need to have a much broader view and also the common language so they can talk different teams to each other, like I mentioned, IT, cyber, legal, etc.
Thank you. Vilius? Anything to add to that? All right. Edvards?
Oh, I totally agree.
Okay. Egons. Yes, I hope that answered the question. Are there maybe some comments from the audience as well? I mean, you all are professionals. Maybe there is something that you are concerned with or anything that you want to add to what was said, or maybe give some good advice. I mean, this is the place where we share with opinions and experiences in a physical security. Yes.
If I were a little bit on strategic point, it's very important also to talk to your management boards, your decision makers in smaller companies, to your owners, so they understand that the physical security, the key responsible person, head of physical security, for example, they are not, as I mentioned, door guards anymore. Of course, they need to guard a door and make sure that the locks are working properly and the zones are made, etc. But it's very important that it's strategical decision of a company that they want to do security properly, and then it's probably more than just physical security. It's, as I already mentioned, the law enforcement, information security, cyber, and management commitment to security is key. Without this, we probably couldn't do what we do now.
Thank you. Are there any more adds or comments on this? All right, let me wrap up today's first panel. And so the advices or ideas that they shared were that the digital skill sets for employees are very important. It's important to make the whole planning and architecture of the system smart, really define what is needed and test it. Also, not overreact, plus balance when something happens. As I really like this advice, very human perspective. Multidisciplinary skills are needed. There's some alarm going on, I hear. So, and also saving time by smart softwares. So, and also having a cold mindset when choosing those softwares or new digital solutions, not overreacting to that, and not relying solely on technology, but also taking in account this human aspect and education. And physical security is not only guarding the doors anymore, it's something else that also the HR and the head of the company should know. So let's up. That was the wrap up of today's conversation. Thank you for joining, and also thank you for sharing your experience and thoughts. And I hope in the next few years we will see how it all develops in a good way, which is not a threat, but the help to be in a secure place. As we saw in the presentations, we are in a quite safe area of the world right now, and I think it's thanks to the good employees and professionals and also technology that comes in. Thank you for listening. We would like to also come on the stage, my help to give the thanks for the panelists. With this, we are ending the first part of stage number 1.